Hey guys, in this episode we blind taste an East Coast red blend and describe each other as grape varieties. Hey everybody, welcome to Wine for Lunch. This is episode 3. Thank you for joining us. We are your hosts. This is Ashley Johnson, marketing guru. Lisa Hinton, winemaker extraordinaire. My name is Drew Baker, farmer/entrepreneur. We are siblings. We make wine together. We run a business together. So naturally, we will be talking all things wine, business, and family. This will be an especially fun episode because our wine review today is blind. And we're also giving away this really special bottle of wine to us. We'll do some live Q&A. The bottle of wine giveaway goes to our favorite person of the day. The way you become our favorite person of the day is by sharing this video, liking, commenting, watching, hanging out with us, just generally being a fun person. So that's the giveaway, and without any further ado, I will pass the mic to Ashley.
Thanks. Hey guys, we are very excited to be filming episode 3. We're having a blast getting to answer your guys' questions and taste wines and share our thoughts with you. So today we will be blind tasting, as Drew mentioned. We have a lot of great questions that were submitted, so we'll be answering those all throughout the show. You're welcome to continue to submit your questions during the episode. So if we say something about a specific wine, or as we're answering one question and something else comes up, feel free to chime in. We're all live on our social platforms, so we can see your questions as you send them. So we're excited just to answer those. Again, we're going to be giving away a bottle of this at the end of the show, so comment, like, share, just hang out, and we will be giving away this at the end of the show. So with no further ado, I'm going to ask Lisa, what wine are we having for lunch today?
Hey guys, thanks for watching. So I actually don't know what we're having for lunch today. As Drew mentioned, we're gonna switch it up and do a blind tasting, and he is the only one who knows what's in this bottle. So I'm gonna let him take the lead.
I'll take it from here then.
Excited.
Okay, so before I pour this wine, I'm just gonna let you guys know the scoop. So I opened this bottle of wine 2 hours ago. I did not taste it. I opened it just to let it breathe a bit, and so that I could go ahead and pull the cork so it wouldn't be a giveaway. A lot of times corks are branded, and there can be no hints about this wine, except for one. This is an East Coast Meritage blend, so made from some semblance of Bordeaux varieties, and it is from the East Coast of the United States. That's all I'm telling you. So we're gonna taste this wine otherwise blind. Lisa and Ashley have no idea what it is.
Nope. This is one of my favorite games because we get to use all of our senses, and there's no bias going into tasting this wine. So we have no idea really what we'll be tasting, so really authentic and kind of on the spot of what we'll be tasting and sharing our thoughts. So let's give it a little swirl.
Aromatically pretty bright, like right off the bat. I'm getting lots of different aromas.
Lots of cranberry.
Yeah.
Some dry
I'll
fruits.
stay relatively silent
Yeah.
because I know what it is.
It's definitely coming across fruit forward.
So Randy on Facebook is asking us a couple of questions about, is it dry, sweet, East Coast? We actually don't know about this wine yet. So Drew's tasting this blind for us. He's gonna reveal to us at the end
what it is.
After
We're gonna
we go
open it
through.
up after. So the idea here is we're putting Lisa and Ashley on the spot. We want to see them make some calls about the wine based on how it shows. So they have no idea what it is. They are going to tell us what they smell, what they taste, overall review of the wine, talk about its value, maybe give it a rating, and then we'll reveal what it is. So the fun of this is that we can pull any preconceived ideas out of the wine, and all they know is it's from the East Coast.
So for me, like immediately when I get poured a wine, like I just start looking at color. So we have no idea what vintage or age this bottle of wine is. So kind of just looking at the color, it still has a bit of a purple hue. It is turning a little bit more red. So as wines age, they lose their brightness color. So they start to go from a purple purple tone to a more bricky red. So this is just starting that transformation. So I'm thinking this is on the younger side, maybe a 2 to 5 year range.
I would agree with Ashley's assessment of the color, but I would also add that aromatically, it's still showing very bright, a little bit
A lot of fruit.
tight. Yeah, a lot of fruit, and even almost these cedar, oaky
I'm getting some
components.
cinnamon aromas as well, so definitely some oak treatment here.
Still a lot of structure. For me, I would even go maybe this year might be 1 to 3 years old.
Yeah,
maybe not
it's
even 2 to
showing
5, showing a little
The
bit younger.
tannin's still showing a little bit kind of rough, and
Yeah, it hasn't really smoothed out much.
the acidity is very bright. Definitely that kind of cranberry-esque characteristic, really bright red fruit, almost
Yeah.
like a red cherry.
Yeah.
So we're calling 2 to 5 years old, bright.
I think
on
we're
the
going to
palate,
change 1 to 3.
Nice
1
structure.
to 3 year.
Okay.
Really bright red fruit.
Would you
Go
want us?
ahead.
You want us to go for a region more specific than the East Coast?
Sure, I've told you it's from the East Coast. So
I'm going to go with East Coast.
Yeah, the very general, broad, big region.
okay, so you know it's an East Coast, it's a Meritage blend. I guess whether it's from Virginia, Maryland, New York, whatever, Long Island, you know it's from one of these regions. The question is, what do you think of the wine?
I think it's
Thumbs
really
up, thumbs down. Is it great? Is it okay? Does it stink?
I think it's really good. I think this wine has ageability. For me, it's showing a bit young. So I think because of it's really purely for me based on like that tannin structure that I'm getting right now, that it's just showing a little bit young. So I would probably wait on this wine another year and revisit it and taste it. But I think it's really good. I think this is a really good food wine.
Yeah, I would give it a 90 rating. I don't think that it's absolutely lights out, but I think that it is a good quality, very clean, very balanced.
Great. So really solid wine, not lights out. What is lights out? What is this wine missing for you before we unveil?
I think it's not. I'm not sure what this is, so I don't want it to come off harsh or anything. But for me, it is. It's lacking in complexity.
Yeah.
So the dimension for me is a lot of fruit. There's definitely some of those oak characteristics, but
So perhaps that could also be because it's a baby. So
perhaps
over time,
it could
you'd
evolve
like to see
and
this.
it could
Sure.
it could open up and show some other characteristics. So just for purely what it is today, I would give this an 89 or 90 point rating. I think it's really good, and I think it will get better. So depending on the price point value, I would tell you if I think it's a really good buy or not, but I think it's overall
What would
showing
you pay
well.
for this wine?
$30.
Same. That's what I was gonna say.
All right. Are you guys ready to unveil?
I want to know.
It's our
what it
very
is.
first blind tasting.
know.
This is fun.
On Instagram, we're gonna tell you what we're drinking right now.
Okay, so can you see that?
Yes.
This is a 2013 RDV Friends and Family. I paid $33 for this wine.
Nice.
2013. So I would say you
We
guys
nailed
were
it.
We nailed
pretty
it.
well onto it. Really
Yeah.
nice wine. I think it has a lot of life. Personally, I think it's knowing what it was going in, I think it was what I had hoped it would be. This is RDV's entry-level wine. They are a really forward-thinking producer. Rutger is sort of pushing the envelope.
Love what they
Yeah, we love what they're doing. They're not playing around down in Virginia. So really beautiful site. Site is everything in wines, granite soils, and I was actually unable to find the specific varietal breakdown of this wine. It was unadvertised. So that's an interesting approach. I mean, roughly we know what they grow: Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, Merlot. So they only do Bordeaux red varieties.
Yeah, but it's 2013, so that's 3 years old, going into its 4th year. So I think overall, for what I was picking up and knowing what it is now, I think those two things match.
Yeah,
So
very much so.
for $33, I would definitely suggest finding this wine.
Okay, so have some really good questions here. What is Friends and Family? Friends and Family is the name of this blend. The wine is made by RDV. They are out of Delaplane, Virginia, sort of central northern Virginia. As I mentioned, granite soils, Big Hill, all estate winery, doing a really lot of
Beautiful
interesting
winery.
things. And this is their entry level wine at $33. So they go up from there.
Yes.
So this is just a really fun, sort of approachable example. I think it's drinking pretty well right now and may offer some more interest over time.
As it develops.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a question from Laura Valor on Facebook that says, will it gain complexity as it ages? And the answer to that is yes. So as it ages...
Not always, but in this wine specifically.
Yeah, in this wine specifically, this has a lot of ageability. And when we refer to ageability, we are basically referring to the tannin and the acid, which are like natural preservatives, but they also soften over a period of time. So it will change as it ages in bottle.
And if you were to buy this wine and drink it, I would just suggest decanting it, letting it aerate for a little bit longer. So Drew had said he opened it an hour,
I
2
opened this
hours?
wine exactly 2 hours ago. Didn't decant it. I just pulled the cork so that you guys
So
couldn't see
you
the
could
cork.
pour it into a decanter so that the wine to air ratio is a little bit higher to help speed in that process of letting those things soften out, and that would help a little bit too if you wanted to try this wine sooner. It's really good. I would definitely suggest it. So
Cool.
that was a fun wine. Good
Yeah,
pick.
so
Good
we
pick.
will continue to enjoy this. I think it's time to move past the blind tasting and onto some Q&A.
All right, yeah. Well, first, let me just quickly, for everyone who's just now tuning in, the bottle of wine that we're giving away is the Pétillant Naturel Syrah Rosé. So this is a 2015 vintage. We harvested these grapes early September. Really bright, really fresh. It's a sparkling wine. So just a really fun bottle that we had and wanted to share with you. So the way that you win this bottle, continue to comment, like, interact with us, and we'll be giving away this at the end of the show. So, all right, let's move into viewer questions.
We have one viewer question that I think kind of reflects on what we were just talking about as far as decanting wines and the ageability of wines. And Christine Bean, hi Christine. She asked, what types of wines should you decant or should you not decant? And we kind of touched on this last week, so we want to just kind of recap for her.
I think in general, many wines benefit from decanting.
Most, right.
Most, particularly young wines, just to give them some air, let them evolve, let them open up. You have to think that these wines have been cooped up in a bottle for, I don't know, this wine's been in bottle for
At least
2
2
years.
years. Yeah.
When we give this wine some air, the aromas are volatile, so when we give them some air, it really lets this wine sort of open up, evolve pretty quickly, and I think that we're able to get some more of that interest, get past those primary fruits that Ashley had suggested this wine is full of.
Yeah. To add to that, I would say some whites, most red. So when we're kind of referring to decanting, some whites, more lush whites, maybe burgundy whites, can be decanted, but predominantly red wines. So either really young tannic wines or a little bit more aged, mature red wines can be decanted. So just finding that sweet spot of time is really the difference.
And a good way to figure out the time is for yourself, right? You can pour this wine out. When you open it, you can pour yourself just a little sampling and then taste it over the coming hours and sort of decide for yourself where you like it, right? Like consuming a bottle of wine, we're really trying to capture it in a particular moment in time from grapes to vinegar. So
Yeah, showing that.
Yeah, so decanting is just a tool that we have to speed up that evolution and sort of enjoy it at an optimal time for yourself.
We have a question from Tori Glory, which is, what would you pair with the RDV blend?
For me, I mean, this wine is big and juicy, and it has good structure. We had mentioned a lot of ageability. I mean, this wine calls for a hearty meal. It's 14.5% alcohol. This is a big East Coast wine. I mean, this is your quintessential grill wine. Anything off of the grill.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's interesting, when we were blind tasting, I was gonna ask about the alcohol content, because I was gonna guess Virginia over a little bit northern, because it did seem a little bit warm on the palate. It was kind of the
Higher
finish.
alcohol.
Yeah, finish was a little bit hot, is what we call it when we refer to something that has showing a little bit more alcohol. So this wine can really get paired with anything that can stand up to its size.
We have another question. Tori Glory said, thanks, VA in the house. Yeah, girl. So we have another question from BB Kate. She said, what are some characteristics to look for when tasting different varieties? For example, Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, etc. So that can vary.
That's just a massive loaded question, and I guess it specifically depends on the variety that you're dealing with. And the most important thing I would suggest is developing a point of reference. You should, rather than sort of just tasting a little bit of a lot of things over time and never really understanding a variety, I think you should focus on something and just learn a variety for yourself. Maybe taste several examples from different parts of the world and sort of understand what that variety offers. And then whether you like it or not, and then perhaps move on. But to develop sort of that book of reference really will help you get to that place where when we taste these wines blind, we can speculate about what it is and how it was grown and what the quality is.
Right. And what he's kind of explaining, like, let's just take Cabernet Sauvignon, for example. In a cool climate, it's going to show more like bell pepper. It's going to show a little bit more underripe characteristics, those cranberries, bell pepper. When it's in a moderate climate, it's going to show more of the mint, pepper, eucalyptus. When it's in a hot climate, it's going to show more jam, dark fruit characteristics. So even just one variety grown in 3 different climates is going to show different flavor profiles. So I like Karen McNeil in the Wine Bible says to pick one variety, so for example Chardonnay, and buy Chardonnays for a month and just learn and pick them from different regions so that you really start to learn what each region or where it's grown, what that example tastes like for each variety. So there's kind of a lot of factors to that, but that would be a good tip.
I think we should get to the question that Jeff asked us.
Okay, talking about great varieties, we have a great question to answer. Go for it. You want to read it?
I don't have it in front of me. You do.
I'll read it. All right, so Jeff Walters asked, if you could describe your sibling as a grape variety, what would it be?
This is a great question.
I
love this question. Yeah, this question's really fun. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Oh boy, I'm nervous.
We don't know each other's answers, by the way.
Yeah, we didn't talk about this at all. We didn't even, go ahead.
So Ashley is skin fermented Pinot Gris.
What?
She's fun.
'Cause I'm
she's
orange?
exciting, and
What the
she's
heck?
orange.
All right,
All right.
That's great.
And
I'm nervous about this.
Lisa is Pinot Noir.
Ooh.
She is one of the
take
supreme
that
grapes
as
in the world, but she has thin skin and is difficult to cultivate.
Oh.
That could not be more perfect.
That's great. All right, Lisa,
That's
you go.
pretty perfect.
You go.
Okay, so Garrett Anderson
Says Drew would be a raisin.
raisin.
That's funny.
Nice and pretty.
Right.
So I said that Ashley is a Chardonnay grape. I said that because she's well-rounded, not physically.
Guys, I swear I'm cooler than Skin Vermin Pinot Gris and Chardonnay.
But she always offers something interesting, and she's a team player, like super diverse, kind of always fits in. Drew is Petit Verdot, and he's Petit Verdot because he's big, he's bold, and he's sassy.
I have thick skins.
And he's bossy.
He's thick
Thick skins. Kind of the opposite of me.
And it only takes 10% to just dominate a group, right?
There you go. You don't need much of him.
You don't need much of
Trust
him.
me. All right, my turn.
That was fun.
I said Lisa is Riesling. Yeah, I know. Riesling, that's a
I'll take
great
that
quality.
10 times out of 10.
So Riesling is very aromatic. It has high acidity. It pairs well with almost all foods, and I think this is a good quality for Lisa because she's very colorful. She is very friendly. She gets along with almost anyone, just like that. And the high acidity, can be very sassy. So catch her on her good days. Drew, I said, is no other than Cabernet Sauvignon.
I'm glad I changed mine because that's what I originally put.
Because Cabernet Sauvignon is very big, it's very structured, it can be loud in a wine. It likes to grow in gravel soils, not fertile. He likes a challenge. And I think those are all things that...
I'm putting that on my resume. That's...
I just see a big cluster of Cabernet Sauvignon walking around. All right.
That was fun. I like that.
That was
one.
a good question,
Thanks for the
Jeff.
question, Jeff.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jeff. That was good.
All right, so moving on to a question by one of my girlfriends, Lindsay Kibler. She asked, what is your favorite value wine? So when you're looking in a wine store to purchase, you don't necessarily want to spend $50. What is a way to know that you're getting a good quality for a good price? So we kind of have tips for that. If you guys want to go ahead and kind of share your thoughts, we can.
Sure, I'll go first. So for me, I think a tip for finding good value wines is finding an importer that you like. Importers often have their own brand and their own niche and something that they focus on. So a good way to do to find consistent value wines is to find an importer, for example, that specializes on value French wines, right? Good way to do that would just be to go into your wine shop and talk to a knowledgeable wine sales rep and just ask, hey, where are the bulk of your value French or Italian wines coming from? Who's selling you those? And then you can go look on the back of the bottle, and the back of the bottle will tell you who the importer is. And when the importer puts their name on the bottle, they're saying something about it, right? Especially if they're a good one. So I think that's a good way to sort of taste a wide range of varieties, but within a specific niche of a particular importer.
Your 2 favorite importers?
I like Vignobles a lot. They're out of Woodstock, Maryland. That's not an answer for all of our friends from up and down the East Coast, but locally.
Vintner.
Country Vintner is great too, and they have a much wider portfolio. That they run a bit more the gamut. Vignobles, these guys,
bit more small niche.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're looking for those $10 to $20 bottle of countryside French wines from small producers, I've consistently had good luck, purchasing wines from these guys. So
yeah. I would say that my tip for purchasing sparklings is what we were kind of talking about earlier behind the scenes. And a lot of champagnes can be a little bit on the expensive side, and people don't always know what they're looking for. So we were talking about how I really like to drink anything that's a Cremant, which is essentially a sparkling from France that's not the specific region of Champagne. So Cremant de Loires are always very interesting, and anywhere, you can get
Cremant d'Alsace.
Exactly. And you can get a range of different varieties that are produced in the sparkling method without being the more expensive, prestigious champagnes.
and sometimes more fun.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
often.
for me, if you're going to a dinner party or something with friends, what grows together goes together. So if you're having French cuisine,
Hashtag.
if you're having French cuisine, ask the rep at the store what is a good value French wine. They can help point you in the direction, or Italian, buy an Italian wine. So that's kind of another tip to go for.
That's great.
All right, so Jenny Rogers asked, who is the favorite amongst the 3 of us? I don't know, because if we ask each other, then that's a question for
I
our
asked
mom
my
and
dad.
I don't know.
I asked my dad earlier, and his answer was, like any good parent would say, there are no favorites. I don't believe that.
It's Ashley. Let's be honest.
Is it?
Yeah, it's Ashley.
I'll take it. Thanks. It's because I'm the Chardonnay grape.
True.
All right. So wait, let's see. Jenny Rogers also asked, what's the best wine to serve to introduce friends to your fabulous winery? Perhaps your most approachable wine.
Also a great question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Revelry for red. Trio for white. These are 2 wines that we make that are quite popular.
Very approachable.
Right price point, very approachable, good introduction. If you like these 2 wines, then Old Westminster is the place for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we currently have...
If you don't like them, then go somewhere else.
No, don't. Just try another one. All right. What music do you play in the winery? By Jeff Walters. Lisa.
So mostly 90s pop rock. I mean, like, the majority of the time, Third Eye Blind, Pandora, Radio is my go-to. I don't know. Other than that, maybe a little bit of country, but I have to be careful saying that because not all people like country. When Drew's out in the winery, we don't play that. Only 90s pop rock.
What do you like? You like Third Eye Blind?
Sure,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that's the one, like, Pandora station that we all agree on, so it's
Even
on
the people that
often.
work in our cellar,
Yeah.
we kind of all see that spectrum.
Yeah. All right. So, how do you distribute the roles amongst the siblings? Kimberly Brooke asked that. I think originally, well, for one, we wear a lot of hats. So we work together a lot on all aspects of the business. So not necessarily one person handles their role completely without any say from the other 2. But overall, I think it's really our skill sets and our passions where we thrive the best is kind of where we get our roles from. So for example, Drew is a visionary. He has a lot of great ideas, and Lisa and I make those happen. So
They execute. I dream, I'm in the clouds, they're in the dirt. That's how this works.
yeah, exactly.
Business development is just really what gets me excited. We come up with ideas like this show,
Yeah.
and then we just make it happen. So
Yeah,
we're having
it's
wine
perfect.
for lunch with you. This is just part of our efforts to demonstrate that wine is fun, right? We take our
Yep.
farming and our production very seriously, and our goal to put Maryland wine on the world map is no small task. But at the same time, we think part of doing that is just breaking it down, and wine is supposed to be pleasurable. And if you're not enjoying what you do, then what's the point? So this is just a fun way to hang out with you guys and to be real and to taste wines blind, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull a Drew right now and kind of take us back to this wine, because we were talking about what decanting a wine kind of does to it and how it changes it. And this wine is changing just in my glass over the last, however, 10 minutes. And it's really starting to open up, developing some of these earthy characteristics, showing a little bit more of the softer wood component to it, vanilla, almonds, and this one is just really changing just in front of me.
It smells like a walk through the woods.
It is. I'm
after a
starting
rain.
to get some of that like foresty, slate, wet rock
Yeah.
aromas.
And that's the intention of decanting, is to really open up and to reveal some of those aromas that are kind of hidden from when you first open it.
Yeah.
Sorry, we can move on.
All right, so Jordan Shaw asked about our sustainability practices in the vineyard, which I'm going to give to Drew because that's really kind of.
Yeah, sure. So I spend a lot of time working on our game plan for the vineyard, and my motto is that we do everything by hand. We work really hard to have a nice, clean, high and tight canopy, nothing too dense, no leaves on top of leaves. The idea behind that being that sun and wind are nature's antibiotics, right? So the better of a canopy that we can keep, the less inputs that we really need to worry about. And so that's really our MO. We are not certified in any particular practice, organic, biodynamic, etc. We just spend a lot of time and attempt to farm our vineyard in a thoughtful way that leaves a very small environmental impact. That's important to us. And I know in wine there's a lot of greenwashing that happens, but for us we make no claims other than to work with some really great professionals. Every year we reevaluate everything that we've done. We make improvements. We're not know-it-alls, and we try something new every year. For example, this year we are removing sulfur from our spray program entirely, and we're going to try out calcium. It's a nutrient, and it has a small residual efficacy against powdery mildew. So we're going to give that a go. And that's just an example of sort of removing a compound, organic albeit, but still nonetheless, we'll take that out of our cycle and try something different. So always mixing it up, always forward thinking. That's sort of our philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're in the vineyard all the time. So Drew is constantly in the vineyard, either just kind of checking on things and working with the other great growers that we source from too on their practices. So.
And it's just a really important to not overspray your vineyards, to not overwork your vineyards, because at the end of the day, we're trying to make wines that are true to a sense of place. And part of what we do, part of the way that we do that is to manage the vineyard with as light of a hand as possible. And then in the winery, Lisa carries that through. We ferment with wild yeast. We're not fining with proteins. These are very common practices. So we're just trying to make wines that are pure, beautiful examples of the best that we can do here in Maryland. And I think that's how we elevate the conversation about the wines that we're making. So one more question real quickly. Gary Robert, I just want to do this shout out. He says, my wife's due date for our baby is today. That's pretty cool.
Congrats!
Assuming he comes tonight, do we celebrate with a red or a sparkling or a white in the hospital?
Maybe a pet nat.
Maybe a pet nat.
Ooh.
Hey, keep...
Well, he's
Sparkling.
Gary has
poor
been
Gary.
pretty interactive.
He's been trying to get on since the start of the show, and he's been having some trouble, but we do recognize that you're there and commenting and sharing, so thank you for that.
Oh,
and
who's
congratulations.
frowning? Someone's sending frown face.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
Having a child is like an automatic trump card around here. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, it is about time to give our wine bottle giveaway, so why don't we look through
I
our
think Gary Robert was particularly active early in the show, and if he's dropped out, it's probably because his wife is
Went
giving
into
birth.
labor.
So, for those reasons, I think that we should offer this pet nat
We'll
to
join in
Gary.
his celebration.
Gary and
yes.
Emily.
Gary, you have a bottle of Pet Nat coming your way.
And congratulations.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
So cool.
Okay, so I think our lunch break is over, and yours probably is too. Thanks for joining us for Wine for Lunch.
Yeah.
Hope to see you guys next week, Tuesdays, 1 p.m. live on Facebook and Instagram. That's the show.
Awesome.
Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.